lead the presentation today, okay? Not give any other time. And if any people want to join in the presentation, you can stay here. Otherwise, you can leave. That's your choice. Okay, today we are going to start environmental factors affecting. Okay, what type of economic benefits we can get from a cattle? Okay, on the last semester you did a calculations. Okay, with that, can anyone say what are the things we can get from a cattle? Milk, meat. Okay, milk, meat. Okay, very good. Manua. Cow. Okay. And the young ones. We can also sell the young ones. Okay. So here we want a high level of production. We want high level of milk. We want good quality meat, and we want a number of offsprings from the cattle. Okay, cattle or any other livestock. So we want a number of offsprings. Those are the production performance. These production performance can be affected by many factors. Okay, these factors can be divided into biological type. Excuse me 1 second. Okay. So here, the productive performance can be affected by various factors that can be biological type, and the physical environment means the environment where we are keeping the animal, and the nutrition means it is depending on the type of foragers or concentrate that we are giving to the animals. So these factors can affect the productive performance. Productive performance means these factors can affect the milk production, meat quality, and their reproductive abilities. All those can be affected by these factors such as biological type, physical environment, and nutrition. And the most important one is poor nutrition. Okay, this poor nutrition can reduce the performance of animals below their genetic potential. Okay, sometimes we may have very good animals which have a good genetic potential to produce more milk. But if we provide low level of feed items or the feed items which consist of very low nutrition, we can't get the correct amount of milk. Okay, regarding the nutrition, two important problems. It is depending on the quality as well as quantity. Okay, sometimes we may not give correct amount of feed items like forages. Okay, in heavy drought conditions or in heavy trying time, there may not be ample amount of feeds available in our especially dry zones. Okay, we all know the Sri Lanka is having bimodal train pattern. Okay, the forages are not always available. Sometimes if there is any shortage of forages, we may give very low amount of feeders. Second is quality. Okay, especially the forages that are available in the dry zone have very low nutritive value. That is also problem. So the poor nutrition, which is due to low quality forages or lack of enough amount of forages or concentrate, can affect the performance of animals. So the role of micronutrients. Okay, we can classify the nutrients into macronutrients as well as micronutrients. The micronutrients are needed in very low level. Okay, very small amount of micronutrients are enough, but they are having some important functions. We have to provide the micronutrients through the feed items. Especially vitamins and minerals play an essential role in cellular metabolisms, and they are also functioning as a component part of many enzyme system. Okay, again I'm sorry, I lost the connection. I'm starting again. So the vitamins and minerals are important for the cellular metabolisms as well as they are the function of they are the components of many enzyme systems. Okay, they can affect the reproductive performance of cattle in two ways. First one directly, second one indirectly. Providing a very low level of vitamins, so if we are not providing correct amount of vitamins and minerals, this will affect the growth and maintenance of the livestock body. So that will affect the reproduction. Okay, that is the indirect way. Here, the vitamins and minerals are affecting the growth and maintenance. By that, the reproduction is affected. This is indirect way. Second one, direct way. That means certain important nutrients like manganese, zinc, molybdenum, and beta carotene and vitamin A precursors are important for steroidogenesis. That means for the production of reproductive, sorry, reproductive hormones like estrogen and testosterone. So if we didn't provide this important nutritions, that will affect the steroidogenesis, that's the production of sexual hormones. So it will affect the production of estrogen and testosterone. By that, that will affect the reproductive performance. Okay? So this is very important. Two main purpose, important elements, and they all functioning as I'm sorry, the connection is low. Okay, if I lost the connection next time, I will join from the computer lab. So, okay, so we are studying now about the vitamins and minerals. Okay, can anyone answer how it is affecting the performance? Indirectly. How the vitamins and minerals, the micronutrients are affecting the performance or reproductive performance of cattle or any other livestock indirectly. Okay, can you all listen my voice or can you all hear my voice? Okay, thank you. So now we can start with the heat stress. Okay, when we are studying in animal science, the heat is, it have two meanings. Okay, I think you're familiar with the word estrus. So estrus also have same meaning as heat, and the temperature also can be referred by the word heat. So here, this heat stress means it's about the temperature. It's okay. The term heat stress refers to the stress of hot weather. Okay, the heat stress means the stress that is caused to the animals because of hot weather. Okay, it is not related with estrus cycle or heat cycle. Okay, that is depending on the reproductive system of cattle, which we study later. So here's heat stress means the stress that is caused by the hot weather. Okay, up to 90 degree Fahrenheit, there is no any problem for the cattle. Their reproductive performance will not be affected. But if the climate or heat exceeded above 90 degree Fahrenheit, that is considered as heat stress, and that will affect the reproductive performance of cows. Okay, normally we will in the trial zone, we will allow the cattle to graze on the outside. Okay, that means when it is grazing under the sun's light, the sun's rays can directly have an adverse effect on fertility. Okay, the radiation from the sun can penetrate in through the skin, and it will increase the heat level, and that can affect the fertility. Okay, we will study further in coming slides. The cows with black markings will absorb more heat from the sun rays, further elevating the body temperature. Okay, you may study in your A levels. Okay, the black color objects will absorb more heat. Okay, so the cows which are having the black color markings or black color coat can absorb more heat from the sun, and that will elevate the body temperature of cattle. So this elevation of body temperature can affect the reproductive performance and other performance of the livestock. Okay, I just want to ask you one question. Can anyone tell any cattle's name that are having the black color markings on the coat? That means the white skin with black patches. Very good. Holstein Friesian. So here now we are studying about the heat stress. That heat stress can affect the reproductive and other performance of the cattle. The heat stress means the stress that is caused to the animal because of hot weather. Up to 90°F, there is no any problem for the reproductive performance, especially when we are allowing the cattle to graze outside. The sun's radiations can improve the heat stress. That is especially for the cattle with black color markings. They will absorb more heat, and that heat will elevate the body temperature. So when the body temperature is increasing, the blood flow is diverted from internal circulation to peripheral circulation. Okay, so this is an attempt to reduce the body temperature. The blood flow will change from internal circulation to peripheral circulation. So here, the reduction of the blood flow to the internal circulation means there is the reduction in the blood flow to internal organs like uterus, oviduct, ovaries. So these are the reproductive organs. Okay, the blood flow to these important reproductive organs will be reduced. So if the blood flow is reduced, you already know the blood is the conducting substance. It will conduct the available nutrition to the needed organs, and it will get the biochemical waste and release the biochemical waste from the body. So if the blood flow to these important reproductive organs is affected, these reproductive organs are not going to get enough nutrition, and the biochemical waste from these organs are not going to removed. So this biochemical waste accumulate in the tissue level. Okay, when the heat stress is increasing, the blood flow is diverted from internal circulation to peripheral circulation. So if the internal circulation is affected, important reproductive organs are not going to get available nutrition, and the waste material is going to accumulate in the tissue of these important organs, because blood is the substance which is supplying the available nutrition to the tissues and taking away the waste materials. If there is lack of blood flow, these two important functions, that is the provision of nutrition and removal of waste, will be affected. So obviously it is going to affect the reproductive performance of cattle. So even though we may see there are some cattle that can become pregnant in very hot weather also, but when we are considering the overall fertility, that will be low. Okay, some cattle can become pregnant even in hot weather, but when we are calculating the overall fertility rate, that are very low. Anestrus. So excuse me for a while. So here, anestrus means this is a condition where the cause may not be detected in estrus. Okay, this can be due to the ovarian function failure. Okay, this is maybe due to the failure of the reproductive organs and also maybe also due to the absence of estrus. Okay, more commonly here, the frequency of mounting in hot weather is reduced, and sometimes the producer, that means a farmer may misses to see few mounts which do occur. So mounting means so here the mounting is used to detect the heat or the estrus period in the cattle. Okay, in the hot weather, the frequency of mounting is very low. That means they will not mount, sorry, the number of mounting is very less. So because of this reason, sometimes the producer may miss us to observe these few mounts and he may fail to observe the or detect the heat in the animals. So some of the dairy producers may have both problems. Okay, I'm again repeating the slide. Anestrus means here the cow may be detected in estrus, that may be due to the failure of ovarian function and absence of estrus. So more commonly here the frequency of the mounting in hot weather is reduced. Okay, and sometimes the producer misses to see these few mounts that are occurring. So because some dairy producers may have the both problems, so because of this lack of observations and reduction in the frequency, the heat detection rate is reduced. So that will affect the reproduction of the cattle. So the low conception rate, the next, okay. Here, conceptions means what? Anyone? Conception. You can answer in the chat box. No, not exactly. Okay, I will provide you about 2 minutes time. I think you can refer on the Google or any other websites. Get the answer and type in the chat box. I just want to know how many of you are active. If you're having this answer, the process of becoming pregnant involving fertilization. Okay. It's happy to see that most of you are answering. Okay. It means you are in the class. Okay, fine. We can start. So it's just we can use it as another term for pregnancy. So what is happening on the pregnancy? So the egg or over from the cow and the sperm is joining together and they are producing the embryo. Okay. So the eggs and the sperms are very important. So the eggs is produced by which organ in the female reproductive system? Ovary. Okay. The sperm is produced by the testis. So here, the high environmental temperature, they are having the adverse effect directly on the survival of the egg as well as the sperm. Okay. For the survival of these reproductive units such as eggs and sperms, there should be a correct amount of there should be a correct temperature. So very high environmental temperature may affect the survival of these egg and the sperm, and it also can affect the embryo. Okay, so it means the pregnancy means just the egg and sperm join and that will produce the embryo, but the very high temperature can affect these three. It can affect the egg, it can affect the sperm, and it can also affect the developing embryo in the cow's reproductive tract. So the entire reproductive process can be highly affected by the high environmental temperature. Sometimes there may be the production of egg and sperm will be there, so the egg and sperm will be there, but they will not be in a healthy form. So the egg and sperm sometimes may not produce a healthy embryo. So sometimes it may produce a healthy embryo, but the development of the embryo may be affected. Okay, the developing embryo may die. So it will result in early abortion. So this problem may result in the conception rates falling below 20% during the summer month. Okay, because of very hot temperature, what may happen? The survival of egg and the sperm may be affected. Sometimes they may not produce healthy embryo, and sometimes the development of the embryo may be affected, and the early abortion may get occur. Due to all these reasons, the conception rates are falling below 20% during summer months. Summer means during the time where the temperature will be high. Okay. So the fertility will not return to normal until the late October or November. Okay. But the environmental temperatures will be unstressful. That means the heat reduction will occur in late September or early October, but the fertility will not return to normal until late October or November. Okay, I'm explaining the last point again. The temperature will become unstressful. Okay, the temperature will become normal in the late September or early October. Even though the temperature became normal, the fertility will not return quickly. Or the fertility will not return to normal until late October or November. So this is about the low conception rate because of high temperature. Okay, about this slide, one question. Okay, anyone can answer. How the fertility rate is affected or conception rate is affected by high temperature? So in the third point, the third point you can note the conception rates are falling below 20% during summer due to very high temperature. What is the reason? I already explained. Now I am just checking. What is happening to the eggs, sperm, or a developing embryo? Increase? No. Very good. Okay, very good. So Kingsley, Surendran, and Abhishara, your answer is perfect. Okay, not only the nutrition and the environmental problems, the management of behavioral stress also can affect the performance. Okay, management means the level of managements that are provided by the farmer, how we are maintaining our cattle farm. That is the management. The cow's body responds to stressful situations in many ways. Okay, the body response most characteristics of stress is increased secretion of hormones called as glucocorticoids from adrenal glands. Okay, when we are stressed, when the cattle is under very stressful situation, it will produce hormones called as glucocorticoids from adrenal glands. Okay, we earlier finished the endocrinology subject, so you may heard about these hormones and the functions of this hormone. So here the management also can affect the performance of the cattle. So if we are stressing the cattle, that means if we are not providing correct amount of management to the cattle, that will affect the cattle and the cattle may become stressed. So during that time, the cattle will produce hormones called as glucocorticoids that are produced by adrenal glands. So some of many management situations also, such as the when we are not providing correct amount of feeds, when we are stressing the animals, or when we are threatening the animals, and some of the disease conditions also can increase the secretion of glucocorticoids. And which gland is producing these glucocorticoids? Okay, very good. So most of you are answering on the chat box. Okay, that's okay. So here there are some examples for the stress conditions. Okay, competition for the housing. Stalls means housing system. Okay, housing, and isolation from the herd mates. So when we are separating the cattle from its herd, over milking, some of the surgery, some severe mastitis, that means the disease conditions. All these stressful situations can increase the glucocorticoids. So the balance of reproductive hormones can be altered by stress at this time. So because of the stress, they can also affect the balance of the reproductive hormones. They can alter the level of hormones, level of especially the reproductive hormones. So it's simple. The management which we are providing to the cattle can also affect the performance, especially when we are creating stress to the animal because of some management practices like isolation, over milking. Over milking means getting more amount of milk from the cattle. Okay, so these kind of management practices and some disease conditions like mastitis and surgery can increase the level of glucocorticoids, and the stress condition to the cattle can also affect the balance of reproductive hormones. Okay, you no need to remember all these management situations that are causing stress. Okay, remember the isolation from herd mates and over milking, that is enough, and the disease condition like mastitis. These are the conditions that are creating the stress to the cattle. So when there is a lack of balance in the reproductive hormones, the cow may get delayed ovulation. So ovulation means the release of ova or egg from the ovary. That ovulation. So after the ovulations, the egg will be released and the sperm, if the sperm is available at the time, that will join and they will become pregnant. So because of the lack of balance in the reproductive hormones, the ovulation may delay. And so if the ovulation is delayed, the cattle will not come into standing estrus. Okay? Estrus or heat means the cattle will be in receptive condition for mating. Okay, simply. At the time, the cattle will be in a receptive condition for mating. Okay, that is estrus or heat. So there are many practical situations where management of cattle may induce unnecessary stress near the time of ovulation. Okay, so if there is any stress that is happening near the time of ovulations, there may be some delay in the ovulations. Okay, so some example is chasing the cattle before they are inseminated artificially, or roping, that means tying the cattle. And some farmers use some aggressive dogs to isolate the cattle for breeding purpose. So all these conditions, the chasing the cattle, so using some aggressive dogs to isolate the cattle, these can create stress to the cattle. Okay, because of this stress, they will not come into standing estrus, and they will also delay. There will be also a delay in ovulation. Okay, animal moisture and heat production. So the heat, we already studied about the heat stress. So that is a stress that is happening to the cattle because of the extreme heat. Here, inside the body, the heat is generated centrally or deep in the body. So because of the metabolisms of the feed, the heat is generated inside the body. Okay. The surplus heat is conducted to the surplus means the excess heat that is conducted to the skin surfaces, and that heat is released to the atmosphere in two ways, as sensible heat and latent heat. The sensible heat in three ways: convection, conduction, and radiation. As latent heat is the heat that is caused because of the phase change. Phase means the solid liquid. So when the moisture is evaporating, the latent heat is released from the body. Okay, so the latent heat is the heat that is generated because of that is absorbed or that is removed during the time of phase change. So you all know that in the water, that will be in solid, liquid, and vapor. Okay, The heat that is absorbed or removed when the solid is changing from liquid or liquid is changed into the gas is called as the latent heat. Okay, sensible heat is that is due to conduction or touching heat. So the sensible heat is released by means of conduction and radiation. The latent heat is because of the evaporation of moisture. Okay, the surplus heat from the body is released in two main ways, as sensible heat and also as latent heat. As sensible heat, they are released in three main ways, through the conduction and radiations. As latent heat, they are released because of the evaporation of moisture from the lungs and skin. Okay? So when the ambient temperature is increased, ambient temperature means the temperature outside that is increased, so there will be a very less temperature difference between the body surface as well as the air. Okay, when there is very less temperature difference between the body surface and air, so the heat will not be emitted as the sensible heat. The emission of heat as sensible heat will be reduced, and the heat will be emitted as the heat will, so the large heat will be given off as latent heat. Okay. So with this slide, we can wind up the class, okay, because we are having the presentation also. So today we studied about very important sections, that is about the environmental factors that are affecting the production of cattle. So that can be biological type, physical environment, and nutrition. Okay, and very poor nutrition that may cause to the reduction in performance below the genetical potentials. Okay, so poor nutrition can be because of lack of enough feed items or because of the reduction in the quality of the feed items. So this is about the role of micronutrients. So vitamins and minerals are very important, and they can directly affect the reproductive performance by affecting the steroidogenesis, that is the production of, yes, this is practical part. This is the production of the reproductive hormones, and they can indirectly affect the reproductive performance by affecting the growth. So heat stress means the stress that is caused to the animal because of the highest temperature. Okay, up to the 90 degrees Fahrenheit it is okay, but when it is going above 90 degrees Fahrenheit, that can affect the performance, especially the reproductive performance of cattle. The cattle which are having the black marking on them can absorb more heat. And so when there is high heat, the internal circulation of blood will be affected. So to the most important reproductive organs, the provision of nutrition will be affected, and the biochemical waste also will not be removed from them. And this can affect the pregnancy, and because of this, overall fertility rate can be reduced. So anestrus is a condition where the estrus ovarian functions will be affected, and that will cause the absence of estrus. Here, sometimes the frequency of mounting will be low, and because of that, the producer sometimes may miss to observe that mounting. So this can create some problems for the reproduction's performance. And low conception rate means the rate of getting pregnancy will be affected, because the highest temperature can affect the egg, sperm, embryo, and also the developing embryo, which can cause abortion. And some of the management or behavioral stress also create some stressful condition to the cattle, especially when the cattle are isolated from the herd mates, and when we are over milking the cattle and due to surgery or some disease conditions like mastitis, the cattle may become stressed, and because of the stress they are going to release glucocorticoids by the adrenal glands, okay, and the balance of reproductive hormones will be affected. So because of the lack of the balance in the reproductive hormones, the ovulation will delay and they will not come into standing estrus. This estrus is very important for artificial insemination. So the artificial insemination also will be affected. Okay, about the moisture and heat productions, the heat is produced in centrally. So, but the excess heat is removed from the body in two ways, as sensible heat and latent heat. Okay, as sensible heat, they are removed by means of convection, conduction, and radiations. As latent heat, the heat is removed during the time of the evaporation of moisture from the lungs and skin. When the ambient temperature, the surrounding room temperature is increasing, that will reduce the temperature difference from the body surface and the air. When there is very lack of temperature difference between the body surface and air, the heat is given more as latent heat than the sensible heat. Okay, we can study the rest in coming class, and those who want to do the presentation today, you can present your slides. So if anybody want to listen to the presentation, you can stay here, otherwise you can leave.